Hello, moviegoers, and welcome to another edition of Have You Seen It? I am your host, Denise, and this week I am going to review a movie that just came on to Netflix, was recently added. It is the movie titled To Leslie. Now, I'll give you a little tidbit about this movie. This movie created a bit of Oscar controversy during the Academy Awards. This movie was an indie film that, believe it or not, only grossed $27,000. Okay? So you're wondering why, how is this person even nominated? Why is she even being considered? You'll have to actually Google the story and get all the particulars, but from what I read and what I kind of heard during the award season was that the promotion of the film, there may have been some shenanigans going on, which would have eliminated her from Oscar contention. Fast forward, she was nominated in the Best Actress category, and during all of that controversy, her being nominated may or may not have put Viola Davis and Danielle Detweiler out of contention because this woman literally came from out of nowhere. Okay, so Google that. It's pretty interesting little story. So in this movie, it stars Andrea Riseborough. I think that is how you pronounce her name, and Owen Teague, Allison Janney, Mark Maron, Andre Royo, and Stephen Root. Those are the main characters in this movie. Well, Leslie is a woman who won a lottery in a town in West Texas to the tune of about $190,000, which is a pretty nice sum of money. Well, she ended up squandering all of her money on liquor and drugs and a bad business venture. So she has squandered all her money, and now she is left to her own devices, which is, I'll just keep drinking and I'll keep doing drugs and I'll just be out here on the streets living my life as best I can. Well, when she does that, she abandons her son, James, and so she's kind of left him with the family and friends that she had in her hometown, and she just hightails it out of town, and she's just living on the streets. So in this movie, you see her homeless, living on the streets, sleeping in alleyways, sleeping, in bus stations, and begging for money, or maybe doing a little some theft along the way. She carries a pink suitcase with her that's got all of her belongings and what appears to be a list of names and phone numbers of people that she can contact if necessary. So fast forward 6 years, she finds her son, James, who is living on his own. He's like 19, 20, living on his own. He's got a job. He agrees to take her in, but he has, he's put some rules in place. Can't have any drinking and no drugs and, no theft or nothing like this. If you are going to be here, you're only going to be here with a plan to move on with your life. This is not where you're going to stay. So of course she agrees to those terms, but she can't, quite kick that habit of drinking and doing all that other stuff. She is kicked out of his home and now has to go back to her hometown. So in this movie, she's basically trying to find out and figure out for herself, how am I going to survive? How am I going to get myself back on my feet when nobody really wants to help me? Those friends and family members that she did dirty and abandoned are really against her. So she does find employment at a motel that's run by two gentlemen who have lived in the town and are willing to give her a job. We still have rules. At least you have a place to stay. You can live here in this motel, but you have to work here. And so she does that. She still has moments where she is still teetering and still falling off that wagon. And the motel managers still are working with her, trying to keep her on the right track and keep her from self-destructing. But at the very end, Leslie has to decide that Leslie is going to save herself. So in this movie, you just see really an alcoholic who's in a really, really bad situation, totally defeated, but literally has to scratch and claw and climb herself out of the hole that she has dug for herself, and to become respectable to those who are trying to help her and clean up her act and see where she goes from there. So I'll leave it there, because you have to see the movie to see all that she goes through and see just how the dynamic between her and her son, although he loves his mother dearly, he's not playing any games with her, which I really liked with this character. And the family members who, even though they see her trying to get her life together, they're still not buying it. So there you go, to Leslie on Netflix. All right, folks, I'm going to jump into my Nailed It. But before I do that, I want to tell you what Nailed It is all about. That segment of our show is where I choose a particular actor or actress or scene or anything about a particular movie that just nails it for me, the viewer, and really, really makes the movie what it is. So that could be cinematography, it could be animals, it could be anything in that movie that just nails it. So for those of you who are new to our show, we welcome you. We thank you so much for tuning in. Now you know a little bit about Nailed It. And with that, I'm going to get to my Nailed It. My Nailed It for this week is a duo from the movie The King's Speech, Colin Firth and Geoffrey Rush. This movie was fantastic, in my humble opinion. It tells the story of King George VI, who suffered from a speech impediment where he stuttered, and because of that, it made him very, very self-conscious to speak in front of people and to speak in front of a larger audience. He was thrust into his role as king because his brother abdicated from the throne, and that's a whole different story. But he was now found himself thrust into that role, but was fearful of speaking in front of his subjects. So Geoffrey Rush plays the speech therapist who uses his own methods, a little quirky, to get him to a place where he can feel confident and feel empowered as he stands before his subjects and gives that incredible speech in 1939. So if you want a little history on that particular 1939 speech and King George VI, check out the King's Speech. But those two are my nailed it for this week, and they both won Academy Awards for Best Actor and Best Supporting Actor. All right, so folks, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that like button, and we are available on every podcast platform in the universe. Just type in, "Have you seen it?" with Denise, and there I will be. And viewers, we encourage you to comment. You can comment on our Nailed It. You can comment on the review itself. We welcome that because I read all of those comments and I do respond back. So feel free to go into those comments. We'd love to hear from you. All right, so until next week, moviegoers, you know exactly what to do. I need you to go see a movie because I'm going to see a movie. Until next week, bye-bye.